Hey my friends, and welcome back. I have this cool backlit painting that we're going to do today. It actually started with a white canvas. So what we're going to do to get rolling is take some black gesso and this foam applicator, and we're going to I just put some gesso on a plate, dip the edge of the foam applicator, not the whole thing, just the tips, and then just starting at the top of the canvas because we want all of our trees here to go off the top in this painting. And we're just going to start drawing in lines. It'll be tree trunks and stumps, and it can be sloppy. It doesn't have to be neat. Just start at the bottom, work your way down, make some don't make them all straight up and down. We want some straight, some crooked. We go to the left, go to the right, crisscross, just keep doing this until you fill up the entire canvas. It's a nice way, an easy way to put a forest background in your painting that is so simple to do. Anybody can do this. Here, sometimes you see I'm going from the bottom to the top. And again, lighter, put some lighter trees in there with not as much color, and then as you get closer up, you'll have some darker trees. So put a little more paint in them, and you'll see as I work my way and fill in all this area that we'll have some more prominent trees in the foreground and in the final painting as well. So just a mix of light color, dark color. You could use gray gesso if you'd like. I just used the black gesso, and then for the very distant trees, just use a little bit of paint and it appears gray. But you could certainly use gray gesso if you'd like and mix it in there. That's fine, however you like it. But just putting in, again, about 1,000 or so background trees that will create a deep forest type look, and we'll have some sunshine cutting through those trees in the middle. But again, just lots of trees, lots of paint. As you can see, I'm making some a little thicker, putting some branches in, some to come off the sides. And again, just go crazy with this. Have fun with it. It doesn't have to be exact. We're going to paint over most of it, but what we see through in the background will really look pretty cool. So we'll just continue adding these on fast forward. Save everybody some time, because time is of the essence. So again, just moving forward here with my trees, and in a few seconds here, I'm going to switch over to a natural sponge and then start tapping in here some bush shapes, working our way forward. I think we're going to have some water in the middle of this, but we're going to darken up the bottom, and you can use your sponge like a brush here. I'm just kind of chucking it on there. Now up here for some leaves, and we'll do that throughout the top. Our sun is going to be not in the dead center, but maybe a little right center. So we're going to keep loading up that sponge and throwing in some leaves. And what's cool is when you put your underpaint over those sponge shapes, it colors the holes and appears as if light is coming through, or even if it appears as if you have small leaves on the trees already when you really didn't do much, which is what's so cool about these backlit paintings. So again, just adding bushes, shrubs, tree clumps, and into the center there. And you can see on the bottom I've left some white spots. That's where my little stream's going to run, I do believe. So again, just dabbing in until you get it where you like it. For me, I got about this far and stopped, but then I came back and I added a little bit more, as you'll see here in a few minutes, to really darken the sides. I want the light strong in the center, and then we want it darker on the outside, as you see here. Here I just went back and I darkened up the sides and a little bit as we worked our way towards the center. And that way that light will really show. So to get started, I'm taking some straight cadmium yellow on my Paint with Bram 2-inch brush. Get yourself some Paint with Bram brushes. They're great. I should say before I started adding this yellow, I did put a thin, even coat of Gamblin solvent-free gel. Very much like Bob Ross's Liquid Clear. So you can use either Liquid Clear or the Gamblin gel. And what I'm doing is just, again, taking some cad yellow and really flooding the center of the painting with that light. And I will go back and add a little cad yellow to my brush many times and start back in the center until I get the color where I want it. The cadmium yellow is transparent, so you can put it over the trees and still see the trees. But we want to put so much on there that it almost blinds them from your vision a little bit because it's so bright. So that is what we're looking to do. Then I'm going to throw a little bit down here where I know the water will be. And it's okay if that yellow gets everywhere. We're going to have grass and such down there. So now I'm going to go into some Indian yellow. Indian yellow is also a transparent paint. So we're going to put that, kind of circle it around the cadmium yellow that's already there, and we'll go back and reload. Sometimes you'll see I have some of that, the yellow covers up the dark just a little bit, the Indian yellow. So I will go back with a paper towel or a shop towel and wipe, not the areas with the holes, but the darker areas. I'll wipe to get the dark to show through again. So you can just take a shop towel really and just wipe it. The holes will stay colored, which is nice, and you can wipe away the color that is on your dark. So again, we're just reloading the brush, going back, putting a little bit of the Indian yellow to the outside of the cad yellow. And this is where I paint very fast. Again, just Indian yellow to the outside. And then shortly here, we're going to come back with some transparent red. It's Gamblin 1980 makes this color. And it's a really cool red color that, again, is transparent and allows the darker things to show through. So we're just going to splash this on the outside edges, starting up in the corner, and just swirl it around, get that color in there. A lot of it's going to be covered up, but again, we'll have that red hue coming from the back. And then the same thing on this side. Just go right over your Indian yellow. Makes a cool orange reddish color, so don't worry, don't sweat that. Let them mix together. And you can be free with this. Chuck the colors in there. It doesn't matter. There's no exact science to this. Just load up your brush and fill it all up. Again, this is just going to be our background, so we're going to have a really cool background that we'll put some trees in front of, but we also want to leave a lot of those holes where the light's shining through. That's really important. The main light will be coming, of course, just right of center down the painting over the water, and we'll have some foliage and some bushes and maybe some waterfalls. But again, just working in that transparent red to finish out our background. And just kind of cleaning the brush off at the bottom. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add more yellow. I want this brighter in the center. So, and I'll wipe it away a little bit once I finish, but we're going to come up here and put some more cadmium yellow into the center of the painting. So on goes the yellow. So I think I'm going to have my sun a little bit higher there. And I know this looks like, whoa, what'd you do there, bro? But it'll look good in the end. So we're just going to put this yellow in. Work it around. And blend it out a little bit. Here and there. Until I get what I'm looking for. Now I'll come back with my blender brush. Cleaned off. I wiped it really good on a paper towel. And we're just going to work this down. Blend it in. Until we get it to where we want it. Come back here with a little paper towel, and I'm wiping away some of that bled over a little too much. Just a little shop towel in my hand, just to take away some of that color off of the dark. There we go. A little more blending to get the paper towel marks out of there. And to make the edges a little more smooth. And you can blend it to get it exactly where you want it. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing here. Either way is good. And a final blend, and then down to the bottom to clean off my brush. All right, so as you can see here, I did add a little more defined sun towards the top of the canvas. Just put a little more cad yellow in a circle there to define that sun a little bit. And that's where we are. So the next thing we're going to do is put in where our waterfall is going to start towards the back of the painting. So I'm going to use a little bit of titanium white on a fan brush. And we'll come back here and start here. I'm just going to plop in a little, just like that, just drop her in. There is some light coming through, so I do want this to be a little bit brighter. And then some splashes here at the bottom, just a few. It's far off into the distance. And we'll bring the water forward just by going back and forth with your fan brush. But be sure to leave it mostly dark. You only need a few little movements with the fan brush to get that water effect. So don't paint it all white. Just come forward. And again, leave those dark areas. I got a clean brush. I'm just going to blend that a little bit. Just come across. And you can blend it to however you'd like. And now we are going to, let's add another waterfall here. Just a little one, bloop, drops in there. Let me get a little more paint on my brush. And a little more in the water. And just very gentle. Now we'll come in and drop another waterfall right here. And these are small, so there's not going to be a lot of splashing action. flip your brush when your paint gets low. Let me get a little more color. And just touch in a few splashes. Not much. And I'm just using, I guess, the top corner of the fan brush here. Just tapping in a little bit of white. Not too much, just a little bit. Again, these are small falls. They're not large ones, so there won't be a lot of water splashing. Here, just adding again another little fall. And just adding a few more water movements with my fan brush, leading into the waterfall. Excuse me. And a little more water at the bottom. Okay, so I think we are good there. So now we're going to add in the dark base color for our foliage, even though we have a lot of dark in there. I sometimes like to plan out with more dark exactly where my bushes are going to be. So that's what we're doing here, is just plopping in some dark where I see my bushes will be. And I'm just taking the top corner of my 1-inch brush that I've tapped in. I do believe here I'm just using Mountain Mix. Mountain Mix is a great shortcut for any of your underpainting. It's got all the darks mixed together, made by the Bob Ross company. And again, it's just all of your darks, you know, your brown, your red, your green, your blue, maybe crimson, some black, but it just makes a real nice underpaint for your mountains, trees, foliage, whatever you may have. So now we're going over to the other side of the waterfall, because we got to have some sides here, so we'll just put some bushes on each side. And then I'm going to bring forward that bush line on both sides of the painting. Reloading when you need. And I'm leaving a little bit of that misty area as well, especially further back in the painting. As we get forward, it dissipates a little more and we cover it up. Trying to decide where I'm going to go. And again, this is just the underpaint, so it doesn't have to be neat, but I do like to have like the top edge of the bushes pretty neat, especially since I have a little bit of mist hanging above them. So we're just going again, working forward. Maybe this bush will be a little taller. And you can make your bushes however you'd like. Again, when I do these tutorials, I'm really just trying to give you an idea. And if you'd like to, copy what I do, that's great. But you can also do your own thing. Maybe just use the techniques shown and just use the general idea, but go off on your own thing. Maybe you want more dead trees, maybe whatever it might be. Maybe you want different colors. You can certainly do this in an array of colors. So just use it as a guide. And as Bob would say, we set you loose on the world. You just, paint your own thing. And that's fine. Again, we're just trying to show you how to do it. And from there, you can take the horse by the reins and do whatever you'd like. So let's get a little more paint. And we'll have these bushes a little bit higher on this side maybe, as I decide where to go. No, 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 right here. Maybe he sits above this one, a little behind him. Just tapping. Very easy to do. Once you get the vision, everything else just falls into place. So we'll start this one up here. And again, we're just tapping away with some mountain mix, using the top corner of the 1-inch brush. You can use whatever brush you want. It doesn't have to be a 1-inch. I like the 1-inch sometimes as opposed to the 2-inch because you have better control. The larger canvases, the 2-inch comes in a little more handy. But for, 16 by 20, I find the 1-inch is more than good enough. All right. So again, just filling in. Making sure we got a good dark base, especially at this point. It's going to be a lot darker in the foreground since our light is behind us. So let's bring these over a little bit. So yeah, we want this painting dark on the left and right foregrounds. Just filling it in. I'm going to mix up some highlight colors so that we can highlight all of this. So here I got a fan brush and a little yellow, and I'm just tapping the corner up here. And since I'm doing a voiceover for this, I do not remember a lot of the colors that I used in the foliage, but it was definitely your yellows and some greens, some ochre. But you can use whatever colors you want. Again, the purpose of these is to give you some ideas, and you can use whatever colors you'd like. Now, mind you, I did thin this paint. You have to thin your highlights, otherwise they won't stick. We have that good Bob Ross mountain mix, which is super thick, and we take our highlight color and we add a little bit of liquid white to, I put it on the brush and then pull it through the paint, just to thin that paint down just a little bit. Once the paint is thinned to the correct consistency, it will come right off of your brush. You don't need to use too much pressure. A lot of the problem people have when highlighting bushes is that they don't have enough paint on their palette. Highlighting requires a lot of paint. You want a lot of paint on your brush, your palette and your brush, so that you can just do a light touch when you apply the highlight. Problems occur when people don't load their brush up enough. And when they apply the highlight, they have to use a lot of pressure to get that little bit of paint off. And what happens when you push hard, it's going to smear and smudge, and you're not going to be happy. So it's really important that we thin the paint. If you thin it too much, it won't work either. It can run together. But when you get that right consistency, the paint literally comes right off of your brush, and you'll get hundreds and hundreds of little dots, if that's the effect you're going for. So I am busy mixing some highlight colors here. That's what's taking so long. All right. I think I mixed them at this point. There we go. Looks like a little yellow, a little green, maybe a touch of phthalo green in there too. See that top corner of the 1-inch brush, well loaded, and it's just a gentle touch. And that paint comes right off. It doesn't smear, it doesn't smudge. And tap once and get out. Do not keep tapping the same spot. That will also create a mud mix, and you'll lose all your fine little details that you got on that first touch. That first touch will just, when you get the consistency right with your liquid white and your paint, it literally falls off of your brush and you get this beautiful effect. If you keep going over it twice, 3 times, it's done. You ruined your bush. So just one touch and be done with it. Let's go to this side. This one's got a little more green, a little more phthalo green in the mix. And once again, please do your own colors. If you want red, put red. Green, yellow, whatever is fine. It's your world. So again, just touching. And leave little dark sections between your bushes as you move forward. Or at least a lighter part of the bush. Like make your bushes very bright at the top. Going into a little Indian yellow, I do believe. Or yellow ochre, I should say. But you want your bushes brighter at the top where the sun's going to hit them. And then as you work down the bush, it'll get a little less and less. So here we go with that new. I'm kind of doing the outside edge here. Working my way back. And then as I work inside the bush, a little less pressure, and hopefully you have a little less paint on your brush. And it'll get lighter. Here we go. Starting a new bush here. Coming around the back side. With softer touches, less pressure. And take your time with these. I know we've watched Bob Ross paint, and he just pop, 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 but he's in a hurry. When you're at home, you shouldn't be in a hurry when you're painting. Just take your time and enjoy it. And Bob would often say that. He's only got 27 minutes. We have all the time we need. So we can really take our time and make sure it's done right. Don't try and finish your painting in 27 minutes. Because chances are it's probably not going to be very good. Take your time. Okay. Now the next bush. Looks like here we've added a little Indian yellow to the mix. Indian yellow, little yellow. Excuse me. And just light taps. A little more color. Now we'll come to the other side. With the same color. And again, whatever colors you'd like. Just touch. Remember, get the top of the bush bright. And then a lot of shadow underneath. And I do believe I have 2 brushes going here. One with the greens and one with a little more of the yellows. See, so the top edge of the bush, see, that's bright. And then we gently touch Once we've used some of the paint, we gently touch underneath the top so that it gets lighter as we go down the bush. So we are reloading. Let's put a bush right here. Before we move forward, we're going to drop some big foreground trees in. So we'll start at the top of the canvas. Let's bring it straight down. Again, just some mountain mix. And I think I have a fan brush here. You could use a filbert. Or is that my filbert? Just a fan. Widening it. But again, just some mountain mix on a fan brush. The feet's down here. Reload the brush. And we're going to just darken this a little bit. Define it a little more. And we'll highlight it a little later. Good. Now we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Mountain mix on a fan brush. Again, fan brush, you could use a filbert if you'd like, or a knife. You should have a little more control with a fan brush or a filbert. Put a little hook in him. And don't be afraid to wiggle and jiggle your fan brush so your edges of your trees aren't perfectly straight. There we go. Now we're just adding another stump, or trunk, not a stump. Another tree trunk here. And then going to add, a few branches here and there with the fan brush. Oops, not enough paint. All right, so we'll come back to the trees in a little bit. We want to start moving forward here in the foreground. So I've just got a little bit of the mountain mix in yellow, which will make a nice green. Or you can use whatever shade of green you'd like. I'm just going to put a little grass line here with my fan brush. Just tapping. And again, it's the mountain mix, a little yellow, probably a little green in there, just a touch. And of course, a little liquid white to thin the paint. And we're just going to build our grassy area coming forward. I'm just tapping. Tap, tap, tap. And the same thing on the other side. Just tapping. A little more paint. And this grass here is going to be a little bit darker because it's got those bushes in front of it. So the sun's not quite going to hit it as much. We're just building that grass up. Now we'll come here with a little more bright color to bring out that edge a little bit. Make it stand out because it's going to be in the sunlight there. Then lighter as we get under the bush there. But again, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to take your time when you're doing these. Come to the other side. There's a little more color here, but not as much as the other side because it's more of a more direct sunlight. Reload the brush. Bring that grass down. Just tap, tap, tap. And again, if your paint is thin properly, that will come right off of your brush, real easy. All right, let's bring that down. Add some color here. Again, just put in a little more grass. And this part of our painting is the furthest away from the light. So it's going to be a little darker here. So just kind of filling in as I see it. Always step back and evaluate as you paint. You need to get away from your canvas 10 feet. Take a look at it. See if it's what you like. Remember, everything looks different when you're 10 feet back as opposed to standing right up on your canvas. Most people will view your art from several feet away. They won't be right on top of it, so it's very important that you step back. All right, so here we're adding some more bushes. Looks like I chose some red. So this is behind that tree a little bit. So we just kind of want to fill in between. And if we bleed into our tree, that's okay too. We can redefine the edge. But we've got that guy sticking back there in between those two tree trunks. Okay. Moving forward, as long as we got that red going, let's plop a red bush here. Let's go to the other side. Just a light touch. Brighter at the top, darker underneath. Moving forward, a little more red. And make your bushes where you want them. Again, you don't have to copy what I'm doing here. You can do your own thing. All right, so back into that red. I think we got a little bit of Indian yellow in there too. This bush is a little higher next to this tree. You get the nice edge. And then delicate underneath of it. Reload. We'll put another bush here. Kind of overlaps the other one and comes behind her a little bit. Then just gentle touches there where the bush goes into shadow. And we'll go on the back side of this tree. It's going to be a little darker back here, so don't make it quite as bright. So just gentle touches. And don't worry if you go over your tree, because we can redefine the tree edge. These little spots will even be hard to see when you view the painting, but if you look closely, you'll see them. So just keep it gentle, gentle touch. Bring out the tip of this a little bit. A little sunshine on the top. There we go. and keep it darker at the bottom. Now we're going to add a little bit of light that would be shining through the forest, a little bright, that will be shining between these two trees and just creating a little bit of light where I feel like the light would be coming in between those two trees there. And there you go. It's that simple. Just put a little color there, and there you go. You got sunshine between the trees. Now we'll go to the other side. More of that red and Indian yellow. Maybe a little straight red here and there. And again, don't worry about the tree. We can redefine any edges that we get any of the highlights on. Reload my brush. And again here, just trying to catch really the tops of the bushes, as the sunlight probably would not make it, to the other side. And continue. Little bush down here. And it's important, as I've said, when you're painting, step back, see where you want to put one, where you don't want to put one. We will all approach the same painting 10 different ways, 50 different ways. I'm just trying to give you an idea, and then you can take that idea and run with it. Now to this bottom right corner. A few more little bushes. Just a delicate light touch. A lot of times beginners make the mistake of pushing too hard. Not enough paint in your bristles, and then when you go to apply, you touch, nothing comes off, so you push harder, and when you push harder, you'll get smears, and you need that fully loaded brush where you touch gently and the paint comes right off. If it's not coming right off, you don't have enough paint in your bristles, or your paint's not quite thin enough, or both. Now we're going to come up and, with our liner brush, add some branches here. All right, now we'll move forward. As you can see in a second here, I've already begun highlighting some of the trees there on the left. I just added a few leaves on the top branches, as you can see, just a little bit. Some leaves here and there. And now I'm working down the side of this foreground tree with a little cad yellow, just working the edge of the bark where the sunlight will hit. and just touching. You can do this with a knife. You could use a filbert brush, a liner brush, and I'll probably use a couple of those here. But for now, just using the knife, getting a nice edge of that tree. Now we'll go into a little fast forward motion here as I just use my knife, defining the edge of the tree where the light's going to hit it. And again, you put your light where you think the light's going to hit. Hit this other tree. Coming up a little bit. It will be subtle. Most of this tree should be dark and will be in shadow, but we will have some light hit that right side. Now, see, I've switched to my, nope, still got the knife. And now we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Now I'm going to come back on the left here and just add a couple little highlights on some of these branches. Just a little bit here and there. Not too much light is going to get higher. Just here and there. Again, where you might think that light would pop through the forest. It can't be wrong. We have no idea of the alignment of the branches as you go back and what light's coming through and what's not. So you make up your mind and plop it in there. Or as I like to say, chuck it. Chuck it in. Just a little bit here and there. Now the same thing on this side. Just getting this lone tree on its left. Just touching a little bit of sunshine. And it's really that simple. Just tap. Very good. Just try and make it subtle. Work our way down the tree and back around it just a touch. Now back over here and clean up the feet a little bit. Back over here. Just want to add a little more to this side of the tree. Then add a bush or two back on this side of the tree. Just kind of behind the tree. Just a little sunshine hitting it. And then we'll come on this side of the tree and cover up his feet. An easy way to get around the bottom of the tree. There we go. So there we have it. I'm so happy that you could join me and watch. and hopefully paint along. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And we'll see you on the next one, my friends. Wishing you all the best. Take care.